Morning, folks. I have some post-eclipse messages. I'm going to be having a lot of post-eclipse messages because that was a very powerful event that we all collectively just shared in. There's a very palpable shift in the energy, and there's a lot of themes and a lot of different ways to kind of break it down and go through the shift and just levels to it. And I think the biggest one for me right now, I think what I didn't expect or anticipate within some of the chaos and volatility that eclipses can present with energetically was how it would trigger into some inner child stuff. It was very interesting to experience that. And I just mean little glimpses that kind of emerge of these deep-seated trigger points within an individual that have to do with, primary wounds or conceptions, misconceptions, and perceptions that have shaped the way we interact with the world. It's sort of a wordy explanation, but that's, I think, what was churned out a little bit. I certainly have more examples about that. Maybe go into more detail with that when I do a card pull next. But the other thing is very much within the collective energy, it's makes me think about something that I was talking about several weeks ago on a reading when I was energetically, it's we're all in the same boat in that we're all on our own separate islands, and there was this strange thing moving through where it felt like everybody was very much kind of for a bunch of different reasons, but locked into their own, I'm sitting at an intersection, it says Cedar on the sign, Cedar Boulevard, and the cedar tree is one of my omens, one of my signs. So little synchronicity, but yeah, and now I'm getting messages about that because of how trees have networks and they can communicate, through the roots and how the canopies touch and all that. But that's kind of an allusion to what I'm talking about, because there's this network of energy that we exist within. It's how we can infer things by body language and hearing people and the undertones of what people say and all of that. It's the unspoken. The quantum field of interconnectedness. It's also how you can kind of tap into other people remotely and all that, or other places and other simultaneous selves in different dimensions, all of that. There's an understanding that's emerging within the collective energies around how we relate to that and the importance of that and the safety and security of that. Because a lot of times we're in a lonely place before we wake up to the connection of that and how much that opens up a person and changes the way that they tread on the earth. You know what I mean? Tread lightly and don't cut off your nose to spite your face, in the way that we treat other people. So just viewing, you wouldn't get mad at your elbow, it's it's part of you. And so viewing other humans in the world, good or bad, as part of you, almost even the people who we disagree with or stand in opposition against morally or politically or whatever, their existence is a manifestation of our collective energies, both the good and the bad, the shadow sides of how a person can manifest and create their life and become, and then the positive. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it for this morning. It's kind of where my thoughts are going. I've had a lot of really interesting dreams as well, and messages coming through dreams. And then additionally, I got messages about one of the paintings that I'm working on right now. It's the one, very interesting, because I got that vision as a montage or an animation. That's how most of my painting visions come to me, and I get to just pick where to stop them, to crystallize them into a form. A lot of them have multiple colors that are they're very glowy and moving and shifting. And so it's which palette, every painting could essentially be 10 paintings, freeze frame, of different parts of the vision. But who has time? Me, one day. That painting came to me with a title. Not all of them do, but the title of that painting is Scroll Bearers. And it's very interesting because there's these details to the vision, and I'm technically I don't know how to execute this as an artist. It's a fun challenge because there's a lot of little details, and I'm gonna switch my medium. I'm gonna not use paint, and I'm gonna use a really fine tip silver marker to draw in this scroll that these two figures with like these little angel wings and these rainbow bodies, like they're carrying this information. It's like ancient secret characters, like hieroglyphs, kind of hieroglyphics. Messages about that painting, which is cool, like the meaning and the significance of that painting, because a lot of the times I don't necessarily understand the symbolism or the meaning or the significance of the visions or the paintings until much later. I think other artists understand that. That's why it's kind of fun to be a creative person or an artist, because it's like that movie Memento or something where he's like, you know, he tattoos himself to be able to remember and like string the clues together. That's kind of how my artwork functions. It's like a paper trail of my findings and what the energy is doing. And it always has been. So anyway, this one, Scroll Bearers, it's like unlocking a connection within the person, the individual. This could be me, this could be you, this could be anybody. It's like unlocking this inner connection to secret, ancient knowledge and wisdom. There's a ton of stuff just given this eclipse and how cataclysmic that event is for planetary energies. It's such a big deal. And we're linking up on our cosmic clock with this point in our histories that trigger these collective traumas and memories within people, regardless of how conscious they are of that process. And so yeah, Age of Aquarius stuff, being able to connect and create from zero point field, and know that when you enter something like a contemplation or a conversation or a moment, you can effectively create anything out of that moment. And a lot of the times, especially in today's world, there's a lot of feeling like we're walking on eggshells with like some of the issues in the global sphere and the stuff on the news and everything. And it's like, just tether into love and faith over fear. Because when you think in a fearful way and start projecting thoughts along the lines of what could go wrong and the fear timelines, that's what you're casting out. And it is the only way that things come into being is when we like project our consciousness out and move through the energy with expectation, right? And intention. So yeah, the reminder is to keep it focused on the positive and know that you're kind of like scooping and corralling the probabilities and the way that things are going with your ability to kind of keep things afloat and buoyant emotionally and energetically, vibrationally. So I hope that everybody's feeling good and like witnessing these changes with an open mind and like again, I think it was the most recent reading that I posted, but no, it was the one before the eclipse. It was the one that was like pre-eclipse, with like the tide coming in, filling the tide pools, allowing it to simply lift you, you know, and be along for the ride and let it show us something about ourselves. But yeah, I have a lot to say. This is a huge transition for a lot of people energetically, and I feel as if it's gonna take a minute to process, and I'm just going to be getting a ton of just psychic downloads and information. I also I know a woman who's a dear friend, kindred soul, and I met her through my grandmother, and I don't get to see her so often, and I got to catch up with her yesterday, and she's one of those people that has similar experiences to me that tend to be difficult for other people to understand. And it was so incredibly validating. Like, I saw her and I immediately broke down crying. I was so, like, it was fascinating to realize how much I needed to connect with somebody like that, who really like sees and hears and understands me at a really fundamental base core level. And we had a really fascinating conversation about some of the stuff that's happening in the world with the energies and all of it. And I would love to impart some of my takeaways from that as well. So sending love out there today, and hope everybody's good. Have a great day.